or watching later on YouTube, also an option. I'm just going to stick this link into the Discord so people know that it is live. And then we'll get started with the sun. The cursed item that it is. The show, here, show is live. Show is live. What is show? Show is live. Yes, boom, done. Okay, cool. So, yeah, let's get started with the sun. Front page of the sun is as painful as recent ones have been. Today's front page gives us yet more stuff about drinking, yet more stuff about Boris Johnson, and yet more stuff about England football. Thought I'd get my glasses for a second there. Right. So, yeah, top of the shop, we've got Carrie Johnson writing exclusively for The Sun, the paper, of course, of her ex-boyfriend, Harry Cole, about saving elephants with the Aspinall charity, a charity that has had some questions around the way it uses money. Covered in the Daily Mail and other papers, but I suspect not to be covered in The Sun today. Let's see who's in the... Let's just have a check and see who's in the chat. There's nobody in the chat right now. Curious. We are streaming. So let's just keep going. See what happens. Yep, so elsewhere on the page, Emma Willis. Good afternoon, Mark Kenosis. How are you doing? Good to see you. Carrie Johnson is saving the elephants, it says here. Emma Willis set to do Strictly. Yeah, and the main story, Boris Johnson standing on a massive England flag, saying, having said that all restrictions are going to be gone by July 19th, and if you're clinically vulnerable, it's just every person for themselves now. Hey, Slinker Meyer, hey, Studying Fangirl. Yes, I know the cursed backgrounds are horrible. It's our summer of freedom with the giant Boris Johnson-headed sun. Hello, Bad Motivator, aka valued subscriber, Bad Motivator. Right, so moving inside the paper, on page 3, that isn't page 3, but is page 3, mad model Paddy Norabe has her swimsuit crossed as well as her fingers ahead of partner Marco Llorente's Euros tie tonight. Midfielder Marco is playing for Spain against Italy in the first semi-final at Wembley. Gratuitous. And then schlongs of praise. Aled tweets crotch pic, then says I was hacked. This, of course, was happening while the show was on yesterday. Songs of Praise presenter Aled Jones has claimed his Twitter account has been hacked after a picture of a man's crotch appeared on it. The singer 50 apologised after the close-up shot of a bulge in a pair of black Calvin Klein boxer shorts was shared on Sunday. It was posted as a fleet, content that disappears after 24 hours. Aled later said he had never even heard of fleets and said, I've been hacked, sorry everyone, jeez. He then wrote, all back to normal, passwords changed, that was an interesting 20 minutes, especially when I'm watching John Wick with the mother-in-law. That's a good new euphemism. I wasn't sending pictures of my penis to people, I was watching John Wick with my mother-in-law. Mark Kenosis, yeah, Carrie definitely does think she's a US-style First Lady, and the press will indulge her in that, especially the newspaper where her ex-boyfriend, Harry Cuck Cole, is political editor. On pages 4 and 5, Great Dane backs Great Cane, Mighty Mutt joins fan army. It's a dog. It's a big dog wearing an England shirt. A primary school suspended its Twitter account after woke parents called its video showing people supporting England mindless hooliganism. Why are you writing about what's happening in primary schools in your newspaper? GB plates axed, fury as UK sticker needed to take cars abroad. A plan to scrap GB stickers for those driving abroad has been slammed by MPs and motoring groups. The initials will be replaced with UK from November 28th to include Northern Ireland. Yeah, what's the fucking... They just find anything to be upset about. The video got DMCA'd. Okay. Hey, Adrenalive. Sad to see no more Harry Kane, Michael Caine interpolations this week. It could still happen. On page 7, it's a showbiz exclusive. Emma Willis says she could achieve her dream of being on Strictly Come Dancing this year after losing one of her most time-consuming jobs. Could. It's not even that she definitely is. Could. Fucking hell. I'm hot to Foxtrot. It's like I could be on Strictly if they booked me. On page 8, support England enthusiastically in a sensible way. PM urges caution as COVID laws go. Oh, fuck off. And again, they're still calling it Freedom Day, even though, the briefing was about not calling it that. Laura Dodsworth, author of State of Fear, says we should ditch masks, whereas Trish Greenall, a professor of care sciences at Oxford University, says no. Why? These are clearly people of equal merit on their opinions, isn't it? A woman who wrote a book versus a woman who's actually a professor of care sciences. Let's just make their opinions equally valid. Why not? Chronotherm, are a pro-union paper upset at including another member of the union? It seems so. Kate, Duchess of Cambridge, is isolating. On page 13, Jennifer Lopez wore some jeans, the headline for that. Jean Short, Jenim cutoffs. And at the bottom of that page, star posh grub rage. Jason the Avo Go hero. Comic Jason Manford has roasted a Heinz ad showing a post breakfast fry up with avocado slices and no sausages. Fuck off! They have an opinion and that makes them important, yeah, seemingly so. Clemmy Moody is awful. She says, age 7, I was a boy called James at 39. I'm so glad I never got hormone pills. Meet James Moody. I hated being a girl. Okay, so some more kind of transphobic weirdness. Trafalgar Square. Faces of 850 trans people on 4th plinth. The faces of 850 transgender people are to be shown on Trafalgar Square's 4th plinth. I think that seems fine. It's a cool looking piece of art. But of course, the Sun is implying that somehow that's not allowed. Bella Hadid wore a blue dress. On page 17, Raddy good try. Emma, Brave Brit is out. She had breathing difficulties, so had to withdraw from the game. Piers Morgan is attacking her because whenever a woman in the public eye, whether she's 18 or 80, does something that Piers Morgan doesn't like, it's fine for him to attack them. What a pathetic man he is. On pages 18 and 19, Sharon and Aaron are on. Steamy snog in bed, writes Rod McPhee about Love Island. There's a whole double page spread about various Love Island stories. Car owners driven wild by Lynx effect. Lynx deodorant has proved it's not to be sniffed at by being voted the top smell for cars. There's a Lynx air freshener and a lot of people buy it. The remaining section of the collapsed Miami apartment block is demolished before search resumed yesterday for 121 still missing in the rubble. Sadly, I don't think any of them are going to be fined. Dad called Britney fat and a terrible mother, writes James Beale, the US editor. It's just a story that never gets less disgusting. Miley Cyrus has had a haircut. Gwen Stefani's got married. Lottie Moss wore a bikini. On page 25, Tale of Two Ronnies. The two Ronaldos are seen in holiday snaps. Cristiano, 36, showed off his sculpted body on a yacht, while his slightly less buff Brazilian namesake was pictured in Ibiza. The other Ronaldo is 44 and hasn't played football for some time, so, you know. Major cock-up, top soldier accused of squaddy wife romp. Britain's top soldier is being probed for allegedly romping with a junior's wife. Major Glenn Horton, who trained Prince Harry, could face the sack if he is found to have breached the Army's strict code of honour. That code of honour doesn't extend to not shooting civilians, by the way. It's just don't shag your mates' wives. The married dad of two is the first to hold a new post of senior enlisted advisor to Chiefs of Staff Committee, but he was hauled in for a grilling last week amid claims of an inappropriate relationship with a junior soldier's wife. A defence source said he is supposed to be the ultimate role model. Part of his job is to stamp out unacceptable behaviour. Major Horton, 49, who celebrated his 25th wedding anniversary this week, said in a speech in February that people look up to us. An army document says he's being investigated for an alleged breach of values and standards after allegedly becoming inappropriately involved with the wife of a junior non-commissioned officer. This stuff shouldn't be in the paper, but it is. Is it strict romping regulations? A clinical trial for an HIV vaccine has been launched by British researchers. Good news if that turns out to be something. Here's a lady who saved a bull who stopped breathing back in 2018, and they're pals. The bull is called Thor, and the lady is called Heidi. Uncritical support for Thor. On 27, callous wedding scammer is jailed. Cash con of 24 couples. A wedding planner con 24 couples out of thousands of pounds in a calculated campaign of frauds. She's been jailed. On the front page of the goals supplements, Norgard aiming to be the bee's knees, but he could get stung by pals. Christian Norgard can cap off a dream summer with the Euros glory, but admits his Brentford pals are turning their backs on him. Norgard and the Bees were promoted to the Premier League in May, and he is now aiming to become a European champion with Denmark's completely remarkable few months' personal success. But the midfielder says support from his mates in West London is rapidly drying it up ahead of the semi-final showdown with England tomorrow. Well, I don't believe she did marry the bull, did she, Friar Bentos? Can you imagine? I mean, it's weirder things have happened. Ultimate bacon cheeseburger in the recipes does look good. Barbecue chicken, corn and slaw salad. Yeah, grand. Italian-style griddle baby courgettes. Halloumi skewers. BBQ oregano and chili chicken with feta cream and salad. Yeah, fine. Scott Christie Jones says, I miss the days when papers were worth purchasing. When were they? Well, when were those days? In the TV biz, some old shit. Last night's TV, Kathy Burke's Money Talks got a decent review. Bake Off the Professionals is on tonight on 8 PM. That's one of their recommended watches. In Fab Daily, mum's at breaking point over summer holes crisis. Some people who save £1,500 a month by living in camper vans, but then they have to live in camper vans. You could buy these ugly shirts, a pack of 6 for 25 quid. In the letters, let's get to this. 2003, Iraq war times, mate. Iraq even. 2002, the Iraq war. Yeah. To a certain extent, there was some interesting stuff. Look, on and off, there's always interesting things in the papers. That's why I report on them daily. But certainly, the papers around then were involved in writing a lot of bullshit. Stuff that people like David Aronovich still haven't truly apologised for. Hey, SK, how you doing? Right, now we're into the letters. In the £50 letter today comes from Jane Fisher, who writes, never has a group of people risen to the challenge quite as magnificently as our NHS in the war against COVID. Awarding them the George Cross for acts of great heroism or outstanding courage in circumstances of extreme danger is a brilliant idea. It's been said a million times, including long before the pandemic, but our NHS is incredible. They're heroes, every one of them. Well, perhaps the Sun should tell that to the Times, which has Melanie Phillips in it today, arguing once again that the NHS basically should be privatised. In these short letters, Alan writes, Katie Price's latest bout of cosmetic surgery has been horrific by her own admissions, but she says it won't be her last. Is she mad? Mick from Wrexham, no relation, says, what is the BBC doing spending thousands of pounds to change a logo that ends up the same while resisting a free licence fee for the over 70s? Well, BBC are idiots in many ways, but there is one thing with that logo. They've changed the typeface because they were having to pay licensing fees for the typeface they used before. Now they have their own typeface, which will actually probably save them more money than they've spent on the logo. Many times more, in fact. They're trying to sell you a big walk-in shower thing. All showers are walk-in, aren't they? Oh, a large shower called the Esprit. Music investment firm Hypnosis has spent more than $1 billion on 84 back catalogues by the likes of Blondie, Neil Young and Fleetwood Mac. London listed business says the value of its portfolio leapt by 10.4% in the year to March. It's profiting from a change in consumer behaviour, says Mercandis. They're also trying to get you to invest in a whiskey investment scheme. I'd say that's one of those things that there's a good chance you could end up having the rules changed on you. And in the sport, keep calm and harry on. Kane says don't blow home advantage. Maguire says I'll repay boss after Greece. Right, that is the Sun for today. Double, I'd say a double negative nice from me. Minus 69. Okay, time to do a quick roll call. Then we're going to do the speed round, the speed run through the mirror. Double negative nice from Slinker Meyer. Mark Kenosis says minus 69 elephants killed due to Carrie's well-meaning but misguided intervention. Actually, do you know what? We just went through that, and I didn't even spot where the exclusive was. It's on page 12. I'm just going to go back because I've missed that. Where was it? It was hidden on page 12. Why We're Flying Elephants from Kent to Kenya by Carrie Johnson and Damien Aspinall. I'd like to know more about your finances and the way Damien Aspinall spends money or otherwise at that charity. But this is entirely why he hired Carrie Johnson, because it's easy publicity, isn't it? Mark Kenosis anyway says minus 69 elephants killed due to Carrie's well-meaning but misguided intervention. Okay, I'm Broken Bottle Boy. Follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy. In the mod squad is SK the Crusader, ever excellent and with a set of startlingly good streams due for you this week. Also in the chat today, Aritrax, Bad Motivator, Battle List, Dan El Rosa, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Friar Bentos, Chronotherm, Mark Kenosis, Paulina93, Scotty Christie Jones, good to see you, thank you for being here, Slinker Meyer, Studying Fangirl, and the Royal Flush. More to come, no doubt. Okay, let's do the speed round with the mirror. I'm going to try to do the mirror in under 2 minutes. Hey Google, set timer for 2 minutes. I should really put the cover up first, shouldn't I? Right. On the front cover, we've got Harry Maguire. On the front page, we've got Harry Maguire, the making of our Harry, feature about his childhood and all that kind of thing. Their headline, masking for trouble. They're going for the sensible line that the removal of all masks and restrictions could end up being a major mistake. The bull story is on page 3. Picture of Heidi hugging the big bull. Thor. Elsewhere, the big easing is the headline they put on a double-page spread about the changes to the rules. Then there's more pages on that. Then there is a double-page spread on Harry Maguire with various pictures from his childhood. Heartbreak is their headline for Emma Ratajkowski leaving the Wimbledon tournament. T is for thank you. NHS 73, Prince's tribute to pandemic heroes. Ollie Mers is broken down in tears talking about his friend Caroline Flack. I'm glad no more soldiers would die in hell of Afghanistan, but I think, was it all worth it, says a soldier who was seriously burned during that conflict. Daughters who called dad the checkbook lose second fight for his £7 million estate. Bruno's car crash. Judge has prang on road trip show with Strictly chum Craig. There's a new show about various places that Agatha Christie lived. BBC, our top stars have had a 10% pay cut. Wedding planner jailed for conning 24 couples. There's a big set of puzzles today in the mirror. In the football, change for the better. Southgate is not just unafraid to alter his team. He's made it part of the way he manages. Moving on. The big easing sounds pornographic. It does if you think about it that way. God, it's really hard to turn the pages, which is making speeding through this quite difficult. Today's TV pick, Bake Off the Professionals, Agatha Christie's England, and the Yorkshire Vet. In the letters, they're all about the football and is the PM right to lift COVID curbs. And in the sport, it's wow or never. Kane, for some of us, it could be our last chance of home glory. There you go. Just over 2 minutes. The puzzle page is good. There's a lot of good puzzles in there, to be fair. Right. That is the mirror. Pretty standard. Quite boring. I'd say I give the Mirror a 0. It's not terrible. It's got some sensible news lines in it, but it's not an interesting read. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Times, and then, of course, end on the Daily Mail, as we so often do. Slinkamai gives the Mirror a minus 6.9, which is a negative tenth of a nice. All right, so here we go with the Times. Front page of the Times, obviously the main story is now is right time to end COVID rules, declares Johnson. At the top of the page, we've got how to be Gareth, why decent blokes are hot. There's a weird fetishization of Gareth Southgate going across the papers today. The Telegraph also has a story about women fancying Gareth Southgate. And of course, the main picture is of Emma Raducanu in the match, which she had to, unfortunately, stop early. On page 2, terrorism fear as UK troops forced to leave Afghanistan. Forced to leave because the Americans are leaving. Frankly, we've been there far too long. Hey, Tara writes, good to see you. On page 3, Ken Elephant pack trunks for Kenya. Helena Horton and Valentine Lowe write an absolute suck-up piece about Carrie Johnson. Helen Handbag, yeah. On the bottom of the page, Top Chef and wife accused of taking thousands from staff tips. This is Tom Kitchen and his wife Michaela. They have also been accused of variously abusing staff in different ways. Of course, they deny it, but there are many, many, many accusations piling up. Yes, agree with you, Red Tixie. We shouldn't have been in Afghanistan in the first place. On page 5, game over. It's just begun for Emma. Absolutely weird stuff from the press about Emma Raducanu. This morning on the Today programme, Nick Robinson was saying, well, how will she recover from this? They didn't expect her to go this far in the tournament anyway. She's really young. She's got lots of potential. Meanwhile, you've got Piers Morgan saying she's not mentally fit enough. Piers Morgan, a man who, when the weather forecaster on his show disagreed with him, stormed off the show and then subsequently left the show. Mark Kenosis, Tom Kitchen. Yeah, nominative twattism is right, Fire Brentos. Okay. Freedom Day will dawn thanks to vaccine wall of immunity is the headline the Times puts on that story. Really overselling that, and I think they may regret that headline quite soon. Quentin Letts says, bedraggled hoorays rang out across the land. Fuck off, Quentin Letts. How old does Prince William look? Because he is. The man is not aging well. I'll still wear a mask in crowded places, says the Prime Minister. Something sensible for once. Slinkermeyer, the vaccine doesn't give full immunity. It does not. Vaccine passports have still not been ruled out. There is a holiday rental in Suffolk was being listed for more than £100,000 a week. It's £107,000 a week as property owners are accused of seeking to profiteer from the booming staycation demand. The 3-bedroom house in the village of Wenhaston is priced at £107,000 for 7 days accommodation, more than 3 times the average UK salary. That's insane. Australian scramble for jabs is likened to the Hunger Games. Hey, Yuan, how you doing? Frugalist, if I wanted to increase the chance of vaccine-resistant strain of virus involving, I would simply let it run rampant in a partially vaccinated population. Yeah. Yes, agree with you, Slinkermeyer. Prince William does look like Max Shrek in that picture. A scored bone could be a Neanderthal artwork. What do you think about that story, person in the room? Yeah, could be. Fans turn to black market after tickets snapped up for the Wembley match. BBC reduces salary bill for its top talent by 10%. Lockdown puppies hit by kennel cough surge. They found some previously undiscovered writing by Edward Lear, a 14-year-old who has been convicted of murder, tried to decapitate a 12-year-old boy in a brutal and prolonged attack. Horrendous. The women, again, the Times' coverage of the women who called their father checkbook and have lost the battle to try and get hold of his money in his will is banker's daughters lose will battle. A collector has left rare books to their favourite charity shop. A book collector who left more than 2,000 titles, some worth up to £1,000, to a charity shop that he regularly visited. Andreas Numella promised the small store that one day he would leave them all his collection. Nomella, who died in January, visited the Oxfam shop in Tavistock Deakin every Tuesday to scour the shelves of hidden gems, and has now left them 2,300 antiquarian books which are to be sold for charity. The books range in value from £20 to more than £1,000 and include an edition of Mrs. Beeton's Book of Household Management from 1866. The donation by Nomella, who lived in Oakhampton, Devon, kept the promise he made to Val Sharp, the manager of the shop. After the first lockdown ended, he told Sharp that he had been diagnosed with cancer. She said, he stated quite clearly on several occasions he was going to leave his books to the Oxfam bookshop in Tavistock when he died. It was what he wanted, and he knew the shop would value them. This was quite an extraordinary and hugely generous bequest. Just genuinely a nice story there. Scotty Christie Jones says, no information on where SARS-CoV came from, why, how, and the effort to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Yeah, Friar Bentos says he's just left them tons of hentai. Ian Austin, patient zero for that kennel cough surge. And Olympian Alice Deering hopes as Team GB's first black female Olympic swimmer have received a boost after the sport's governing body said it would reconsider a ban on her cap. The swimmer had been told that the hat designed by the British brand Soul Cap to fit over dreadlocks, braids and afros could not be worn at the Olympics because it did not fit the natural form of the head. Surely they'll change that rule.
They have to, considering it's racist.
Yeah, it's hugely racist. It's gone so dark. I'm just going to bang the light on because it's gone extremely dark in here because of the rain clouds. Too much. There we go. Streets full of drunk fans, but police stop me, says Black MP. A Black MP has accused the Metropolitan Police of racial profiling after her group of family and friends was stopped during a recent visit to London. I wouldn't surprise... Well, racial profiling by the Metropolitan Police? Whatever next. Kim Johnson, who became Liverpool's first black MP in 2019, won the seat of Liverpool Riverside, said the officers had walked off when she mentioned her job. The incident is alleged to have occurred on June 18th after the Euro 2020 match between England and Scotland. A Labour MP had been in London with her son, his friend and their wives when the officers approached them. We had literally stepped foot out of the taxi heading towards the restaurant we were going to. The area was swamped with drunken football supporters. However, we were then encircled by some police officers saying that my son's friend matched the description of. Yeah, classic. Transgender and anti-colonial works for the 4th plinth in Trafalgar Square. I think good news. Of course, the Times doesn't. Laundromat couple hand over £4 million to crime agency. The husband of an Azerbaijani DJ has agreed to hand over $4 million of suspected dirty money after the couple were accused by officials of profiting from the proceeds of corruption. Suleiman Javidov, who lives in London, will surrender the cash to the National Crime Agency after admitting that it came into the country illegally. Officials have alleged that it was generated as part of a vast global network of shell companies dubbed the Azerbaijani Laundromat, with some of it said to have been used to pay for models to fly by private jet to Ibiza club nights. Javidov's father is a former deputy energy minister in Azerbaijan. His wife is Izak Kanem Jadova, known in Ibiza as DJ Michaela Jav. The settlement agreed with the NCA at the High Court yesterday does not amount to an admission of wrongdoing by the Javidovs, who claimed they had no knowledge of the route of transfer of the cash. Is that right? The money didn't go via a Tory, therefore was illegally in the UK. Pretty much, yeah. Comment pieces. William Hague offers some advice to Keir Starmer about being an opposition leader, as if he didn't have enough problems already. Melanie Phillips says, time to admit we can do better than the NHS. Absolute classic. We need to privatise this stuff attitude from Melanie Phillips. Hugo Rifkin says, must I take personal responsibility for you? And Giles Corrin is, as ever, absolutely appalling. What does he say today? Oh, God, I can't be bothered. It's awful. It's just a load of old shit, as usual. And Jawad Iqbal says, 4th plinth choices are stale and predictable. Well, imagine that, because that's a surprising view from the Times, isn't it? Well, to be fair to the Hugo Rifkin column, he says, must take personal responsibility for you as the headline. It says, all very well telling us to use our judgment, but we'll soon come across others exercising theirs very differently, which is a fair point. What he's saying is, there's a pull quote here. For many of us, mask refusers resemble libertarian gun nuts. Yeah. So fair play. The point he's making is the government completely abdicating any responsibility for there being rules will lead to people just choosing to ignore it and saying, "Well, I'm just exercising common sense." Can't wait for mask wearing to be a culture war issue. Well, funny you should say that, but in the Telegraph today, the ever deranged Cheryl Jacobs says the terrifying truth is that millions do not want lockdown ever to end, and the subheading of the piece is, "We're entering the early stages of a new culture war pitting freedom lovers against proponents of zero COVID." And meanwhile, in the Daily Mail, they actually argue that we're going to have fistfights on public transport. I hate the term common sense. SK the Crusader, what lockdown? Well, exactly. We've never had a proper lockdown. Today's birthdays. George W. Bush is unfortunately still alive. He is 75. Vladimir Ashkenazy, the pianist and appointed conductor laureate of the Philharmonia Orchestra in 2000, is 84. Sir Michael Boyd, theatre director of the artistic director of the Royal Shakespeare Company until 2012, is 66. Baroness Caroline Cox, the founder of the Humanitarian Aid Relief Trust and co-author of The Very Stones Cry Out, is 84. David Crystal, the linguist and author, is 80. The Dalai Lama is 86. Mark Gasser, the concert pianist, is 49. Paul Gervin, the Democratic Unionist Party MP for South Antrim, is 58. Chris Grigg, chairman of UK Infrastructure Bank, is 62. Geraldine James, the actress, is 71. Tony Lewis, a former England cricket captain and TV commentator, is 83. John Makepeace, the furniture designer, is 82. Dame Hilary Mantel, the novelist, is 69. Nice. Kate Nash, singer-songwriter, is 34. Makaya Nintini, the cricketer for South Africa, is 44. Lady Mary Peters, the pentathlete, is 82. Chris Phillip, Conservative MP for Croydon South and Minister for Immigration Compliance and Justice, is 45. Sir Jonathan Porritt, the environmentalist and writer, is 71. Lord Charles Powell of Bayswater, the private secretary to Margaret Thatcher and John Major, is 80. Jennifer Saunders is 63. Claude Michel Schoenberg, the composer of Les Mis, is 77. Sylvester Stallone, the actor, is 75. Dame Julia Unwin, chief executive of the Joseph Rowntree Foundation until 2016, is 65. Burt Ward, the actor best known for his portrayal of Robin in the TV series Batman, is 76. On this day in 1952, the last tram in London arrived at New Cross Depot at the end of its final journey from Woolwich. And the last word goes to Romain Gary, the French novelist, film director, wartime pilot, and diplomat in Tulip in 1946. When a war is won, it's the losers, not the winners, who are liberated. That'd be interesting one, isn't it? Happy birthday to Burt Wards. Look at mine. My mate literally got shoved to the ground by an anti-masker for refusing to take their mask off last weekend. So the government abdicating all responsibility bodes fucking well. Yeah. Happy birthday to Studying Fan Dad. Yes, indeed. Happy birthday to Studying Fan Dad, who is 49 today. Greatest achievement is Studying Fangirl. I don't know. He may have many achievements. I'm just messing around. In the leader columns today, they talk about. They say that the mission in Afghanistan is unaccomplished. I expect the US and UK to cause more problems in Afghanistan again. The country is never allowed to just be free of bullshit. And robots can help healthcare immensely, but conjure up a humorless future. What? Shut up. Get people who know about robots to write for you. One lives in this house. Not a robot, a person who knows about robots. You get my point. Kremlin offers White House talks over crippling cyber attack. More trolling. Canadian tribes living in third world squalor. Horrible. A beautiful picture of an owl. A young owl stretches its wings in Baltimore, Maryland. Police crack the mob in town immortalized as mafia stronghold. Tom Kington in Rome reports a small Sicilian town has become the backdrop to a huge operation to break the power of the mafia more than half a century after it was used as a setting for one of Italy's first big films about the mob. Police have arrested 85 suspected mafiosi in operations that aimed at decimating no fewer than 5 competing Cosa Nostra clans running drug empires out of Particino, a town of 30,000 near Palermo, where filmmakers were threatened and shot at as they worked on the groundbreaking 1968 film The Day of the Owl. Made at a time when many Italian politicians claimed that the mafia did not exist, the film depicted locals cowed by a powerful local don who ruled with impunity and outfoxed all efforts by the police to catch him. 53 years on, police have achieved what their celluloid counterparts failed to do by arresting modern-day mobsters in 5 clans who forged ties with other gangsters across Italy to flood Sicily with drugs. Wiretaps found them discussing €700,000 delivery of cocaine, and investigators realised that tensions were growing as made men regularly beat up rivals and burnt down properties. In Paris, a robot chef is cranking out 80 pizzas an hour. And in Paris, the council workers have cut a deal to dodge a 35-hour week after the socialist mayor offered 7 more days off a year. Well done, socialist mayor. Revelation that Van Gogh founded a brass band paints Misfit in a new light. Well, the story of him being a misfit has always been a bit of a misnomer. Friar Bentos turns out the Americans literally left at 3 a.m. and didn't tell the Afghans. Classic American move there. On the front page of Times 2, are you a Gareth? An emotionally literate bloke in a quite nice suit. Verb, to get stuff done without demanding credit. Oh, fuck off! Just, can we stop being such a weird country? Just for 5-10 minutes, it would be amazing. MPs have said that financial regulators should be protected from ministerial interference. Yeah, I can see that happening sometime this side of never. Chinese web firms listing in New York feel Beijing's wrath. Shares in Chinese internet companies tumbled yesterday after Beijing tightened the regulatory noose around its dominant technology companies. The authorities have removed Didi Chuxing from app stores in apparent retaliation after the cab-hailing service lifted its shares in New York. The Cyberspace Administration of China has placed a temporary ban on Boss Zipin, a recruitment company, and Full Truck Alliance, the owner of 2 logistics apps, from signing up new users. Like Didi Chuxing, the companies recently floated on the US market. Fraud office should close cleared Serco boss demands. Oh Jesus! He wasn't found guilty of a fraud, so the fraud office must close. Is that right? Builders merchant chief to net £10 million. But the business news is always so depressing. Yu-Gi-Oh! I wouldn't mind how weird the country is if it didn't also insist on being unbearably boring and smug. Slinkermeyer says, maybe Van Gogh had synesthesia and his paintings were the visual equivalent of his brass band. John Sprinzel, champion rally driver and sports car dealer whose London garage attracted celebrity clients, including Ursula Andress and Ringo Starr, has died. He was 90. Also in the obituaries, Helen Lefroy, publishing executive, lecturer and stalwart of the Jane Austen Society, who produced a pocket biography of the author. She has died aged 100. And Gianna Rolandi, acclaimed soprano at the New York City Opera who made her mark at Glyndebourne singing Mozart and Strauss, has died. She was sadly just 68. There's an ad for Times Radio. I really appreciate Stig Abel making the effort to dress up. There's an ad for alarm systems in there because the Times will have made the readers so paranoid about the world around them. And in the sports, joy for clubs as capacity crowds return. Sad end to Raducanu's Wimbledon dream. And Kane, we have to seize this opportunity. Yeah, Richard Donner has died. It was sad news. He was director, of course, of The Goonies, as well as the incredible first Superman film. First Superman film in the modern age, you know what I mean. Anyway, that's the Times. For me, it's a classic -69 today, I think, even with a couple of decent animal stories / pictures in there. And finally, we come to the Daily Mail, our last paper of the day. Let me just get it up on the screen. Do give me your scores for the Times. Are alarms the new coins? I hope not. I thought I was going to get a no coins there, but luckily no. Slingermeyer gives the Times a double negative nice, minus 69.69. Right, okay. I'm going to take a seat for the Daily Mail. Here we go. Daily Mail. Agony for Emma as she bows out. And did Wimbledon knock Kate out too? Main story. Freedom at last as PM declares it's now or never. Britain almost back to normal on July 19th. Big bang. We don't want it to be a big bang. Small Mick. I know, Small Mick. Big Mick. Small Mick. Right. Inside the... What's this bang? What was that? Right. I actually decided better stood out. More energy. Heartbreak for brave Emma in night of drama. I'm very suspicious about how many pictures of her legs the Daily Mail puts in. And Bjorn Borg's son played yesterday. The 18-year-old made his Wimbledon debut in the junior men's singles, winning his first match. Swede said his father, 65, champion 5 times between 1976 and 1980, had wished him good luck, adding, "It's always special because my dad played here many times." Poll finds Labour voters are far more right on than Conservatives with a third backing cancel culture. This is the Daily Mail just nicking from the Times yesterday. Absolute rubbish. Just had a curse thought about what Small Mick would be like, says Tara. It's not good. Chronotherm, Big Mick, Little Mick, Cardboard Box. Thank you very much. Chronotherm and Slinkermeyer there. On page 5, that story about the army officer who allegedly had an affair with a wife of one of his soldiers. The Daily Mail claims it's an exclusive, but I do believe we've just read that story in at least 2 other papers. PM apparently told us to not be demob happy. Again, using references that are, just so old hat now. Decades old. Like a 1950s reference. Chronotherm was going for cursed TV show Big Chef, Little Chef. The great masks model or on wearing them to be axed, says Boris, but then he urges us to put them back on again. Yeah, it's cool. Idiots. Henry Deeds is awful. I can't even be bothered to deal with this sketch. Petition to ban all sketch writers. Hurrah, care home limits lifted. Sage, freedom may only last for weeks. Experts raise fears of autumn lockdown. And some changes to life could be permanent. Well, how about we don't just open everything up like maniacs, because right now things are actually pretty okay. There's not a lot of things that people can't do. And they cover Dominic Cummings' latest post, another round of dom shells. Boris says it's ludicrous that he's our PM. If you want to read a bit more about that and how ridiculous it is for newspaper columnists to be angry that he's charging for his Substack, check out today's newsletter, brokenbottleboy.substack.com. I'm going to chuck that link in the chat now. There you go. I've mistyped that because I'm trying to... God damn it. Right, there's the correct link. Okay, the headline, riffing on their ridiculous old thing, Weighty Katie, if you remember that from when Prince William was resolutely refusing to propose to Kate Middleton. They go with Isolatey Katie. Jesus Christ. She's ordered to quarantine after close contact with COVID carrier, even though the Duchess, 39, has had both her jabs. Yeah, rules is rules. Moving on. Priti Patel says sickening trade of vile gangs must end. Does she mean the Conservative Party? No, sorry, she means people smugglers. Migrant boats will be turned around in Priti shake-up. Right. Of course the Mail's delighted about that. On page 15, footballing friends in Wembley showdown. Midfielder Mason Mount, 22, and Denmark defender Andreas Christensen will be put on. Their friendship will be put on ice when they line up against each other at Wembley tomorrow. Yeah, this happens a lot with professional footballers. The Mail's leader column says there's no masking the war that will split Britain. Face masks no longer compulsory, but still encouraged. Could there be a more toxic recipe for very public face-offs? It's what they want to happen. Tara writes, these plans from her are so violent, even by UK border standards. Yeah, it's moving from the hostile environment to the absolutely sociopathic environment. On page 17, oh how we'll miss the GB sticker that was our license to thrill. Literally, they get a whole page out of the fact that they're changing the GB sticker to a UK sticker. For fuck's sake. Big changes. Incredible scenes. Richard Littlejohn says, we are the Sweeney, son, and we haven't got any degrees. Fuck off. Fuck off. Shocking betrayal of mums and babies. NHS failure to learn from previous tragedies led to hundreds of excess maternity unit deaths. Jesus. Staycation inflation, one weekend at a cottage in Suffolk for £107,000. They've all been sent the same story by the same news agency. Ruth Sutherland says, do they really want to sell the firm whose ex-boss paid paedophile Epstein £114 million? Leon Black, right, the founder of the firm that's bidding for Morrison's, was a pal of Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, I know. Birthday girl Margot's bikini clique. Actress brings Love Island to Malibu. There's a picture of Margot Robbie and her friends wearing bikinis. Literally, that's it. Yeah, true. The poignant promise to Philip behind those radiant smiles. After the lonely grief of her loss, our beaming queen has heartened the nation. But as Richard Kay reveals, she is simply honouring a loving agreement with her prince. Whoever survives should mourn, but not for too long. A double-page spread he's got out of going, yeah, the queen is smiling now. That's it. That's the fucking story. Right, okay, on this day in July 6th, 2021, from the Daily... from artist great-great-great-great-grandson 7, the Royal Academy is to exhibit the first new Constable artwork in almost 200 years, a drawing by the landscape painter's 7-year-old great-great-great-great-grandson. Valier Constable's sketch of his grandmother's feet and legs will go on display next week in a Young Artists exhibition. It's nepotism all the way down. July 6th, 2021, on this day, from the Daily Mail archive, July 6th, 1954. Princess Margaret, visiting northwest England yesterday, sent a radio message from the boat taking her from Blackpool to Barrow in Furness, asking for some sticks of Blackpool rock. Police bought 6 11-pound sticks to send her. July 6th, 2000. It became a symbol of her uncompromising style and brought a new concept, handbagging, into the language. So it was perhaps unsurprising that Baroness Thatcher's black Ferragamo handbag soared past the £100,000 mark at a charity auction last night. Happy birthday to Eva Green, 41, and to George W. Bush, not to George W. Bush, 43rd President of the United States. Also born on this day, Alan Freeman. Born 1927, Australian-born disc jockey, hosted Pick of the Pops on BBC Radio in the 60s and 70s, and TV's Top of the Pops. His nickname Fluff came from the white Submariner's sweater he wore so often it turned fluffy like a sheep. And also born on this day, Janet Leigh, 1927 to 2004, the US star of Psycho, amongst other things. On July 6th, in 1785, the dollar was adopted as the official currency of the United States of America. And on July 6th, 1942, Jewish diarist Anne Frank, then aged 13, and her family went into hiding from the Nazis in Amsterdam. Quote of the day comes from Elizabeth I. I would not open windows into men's souls. And the joke of the day is, what do you do if you see a spaceman? You park in it, man. Search for British teacher missing in Japan. Police in Japan are searching for a British graduate who failed to turn up for work at an English language school a week ago. Alice Hodgkinson, 28, was last seen on Tuesday by one of her flatmates and is thought to have had no contact with anybody since emailing her father Stephen in the UK on Wednesday. Well, I hope they find her. I hope she's okay. They've got a double-page spread on that wedding planner who conned people. Not very local councillor, 30,000 children's services boss logs in from Panama as he plans new life abroad. BBC's talent bill falls 10% as Lineker and Ball take cuts, but of course the Daily Mail is on the horrendous logo thing. What's that? Okay, well, we're nearly done. Zand hit 19 stone. I worry he'll die young, leaving me without my twin brother. Dr. Chris Van Tulleken's deeply personal account, a fascinating podcast will touch a nerve with many who worry about the health of their loved ones, how eyeballs can get sunburnt. Front page of the Euros, it's going to be electric. Maguire promises Wembley will be buzzing for Danes. Nadine Doris says she had to give up halfway through having an IUD fitted because it was so awful. If only she was a government minister who could do something about that. They test various Graze creams. Try and sell your camera, TV is all the usual stuff everyone else is recommending. In the cartoons, Garfield is singing. In Chloe and Co., Chloe and Amanda sat down and drinking. And in Fred Bassett is watching his family play with the toy train. In the straight to the point letters, F. Cranshaw writes, "The new German football manager is Herr Flick. Please tell me it's a joke." Clive Wicklow writes, "The embarrassment of Professor Chris Whitty by Yob shows that the harassment of Chris Whitty by Yobs shows that some people see reality as an extension of their vacuous online lives." Jay Key says, "When planning his comeback, Matt Hancock might bear in mind the acute shortage of delivery drivers and hairdressers." A. Middleton says, "Whatever the former health secretary's future holds, Matt has lost his gloss. Ha ha ha." Phil Symes says, "So Harry and Meghan turned down the title Earl of Dumbarton for son Archie because of the dumb in Dumbarton. Presumably they accepted the Sussex title because of the sex in it." Mike Garrick says, "Wake up everybody, the reason the government encourages you to buy a house is because that's their insurance policy to pay for your care home fees." E. Davidson says, "If ever a television programme needed a follow-up, it has to be Dragon's Den. What were the smart investors? News of failures and successes after they left the den would be compulsive viewing." They do that all the time. They do it every season. They do at least one episode with that. And finally, Andrea Fraser says, "Please stop printing pictures of snarling Andy Murray. They are frightening the cat." They're still trying to get you to go on cruises. They want you to buy some ugly trousers, flat front chinos for flat nose geezers. And in the sports, stricken Raducanu is forced to quit. Seize the day, Kane. We have one chance to win tournament on home soil. That is the Daily Mail. Give me your scores for that. For me, it's a quadruple negative nice. Minus 69, 69, 69. And yes, red tick seed as ever. Hashtag Bassett and the Beano. Hashtag save Fred. Mark Knossis says that they should give Fred the train. I agree. Unless that's a weird sexual comment. You never know with Mark. I've been the Broken Bottle Boy. Follow me on Twitter. Make sure to check out SK's streams this week. He, I think, is streaming again next on Thursday, or maybe tomorrow, possibly Thursday. In the chat today has been Aratrack, Aiton, Bad Motivator, Chris McRae, Commander Root, Discord for streamers, Daniel Rosa, Friar Bentos, Frugilus, Itzik Curran Fine, Chronotherm, Lady Baskers, Mark Canosis, Pac-Man Scratch Card, Paulina93, Red Tick Seed, Scotty, Christy Jones, Slinkermeyer, Studying Fangirl, Tom Toms, Terror Rights, The Royal Flush, V&K, Virgo Cross, and Yuan, the Fishmeister General. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. with another show. In the meantime, don't forget to consider chucking some coins into the newspaper fund, paypal.me/conquest of the useless, and join the Discord. I'm going to put the links for both of those in the chat now. As I say, back tomorrow at 1. Hope you have a good afternoon. Catch me in all the Oh, God. I'm having a mare with typing things in the chat today. paypal.me And doo-ba-doo. Here's the link for the Discord. Bam. Bam. There's a Discord link. Feel free to join me there. Yeah, and I'll see you tomorrow at 1. In the meantime, you know where to find me. Cheers all. Have a good one.